Bank of Ceylon PLC stepping into overseas market of Myanmar. Initially, I'll be presenting the following topics: overview of the company, historical summary of the company, objectives, mission statement, and stakeholder analysis.
Hi, I'm Supani Pereira. So today I'm going to present on the following topics, which are the SWOT analysis, the pest analysis, the scenario planning, and the firm's generic strategy.
Hi, I'm Rahul, and I will be presenting about the VRIO analysis, the HRM strategy, financial statements, and value proposition.
Hi, I'm Sachin. I'll be presenting the KSF factors, Porter's five forces, and risk factors.
Commercial Bank of Ceylon PLC is not only the largest financial institution in Sri Lanka, they are also the most highest awarded bank in the country. With market capitalization of over 1 billion USD, they serve over 3 million customers with 5,000 staff. They have 264 branches in Sri Lanka as well as in Bangladesh, and also subordinate offices in Myanmar. They claim the third place in all listed organizations in the country. More than more than that, they have a rich history of being listed in the top 1,000 banks in the world from considering past 6 years from starting from year 2011. Let's take a look at the historical summary of Commercial Bank Ceylon PLC. The history of Commercial Bank dates back to pre-independence era in 1920, where Eastern Bank Limited started a bank in Chatham Street. In 1957, Chartered Bank obtained a share capital of EBL. Later in 2000, the online banking system was launched. It was modernized in 2012 to user-friendly, approachable way. In 2003, they stepped into overseas market by opening a branch in Bangladesh. In 2005, US 10 million were given as bond for 5 years, which was the first Sri Lankan bank to do so. Later in 2008, they were made history by featuring in the top 1,000 banks in the world list. In 2004, they approved the license by Myanmar government to have a sub-office in that country, which was the first Sri Lankan bank to do so. In 2016, they launched the first remittance card in Sri Lanka, and also they won 10 prestigious awards and turned to be a 3 million asset company. Vision statement: to be the most technologically advanced, innovative, customer-friendly financial services organization in Sri Lanka, poised for further growth. Vision statement: reliable, innovative, customer-friendly financial services utilizing cutting-edge technology and focusing continuously on developing our staff and acquiring necessary to expand locally and regionally. Stakeholder analysis. Stakeholders are the ones who have contractual relationship with the business. Stakeholder analysis consists of expectations and obligations, power and influence, commonality, and conflict. If you look at the stakeholders of this business, we have company directors and high-level managers. They expect decent pay, satisfaction in job, fixed work hours, and applause for achievement. The power they have is capable of taking good decisions, possess well cleared out details about the firm. Conflict could occur when they put their self-interest above companies. So employees expect performance, investment in HR, work-life balance, retention, turnover, value-driven corporate culture, diversity, and inclusion. Power and influence they have can be: displeased employees can route to go slow and lessen efficiency. Commonality and conflict. More often than not, anticipating huge salary and incentives plus recognizing which cannot be fulfilled every time. Suppliers. Contractual performance, responsible sourcing, future business opportunities. Price controlling power and influence to seize the dealings are the powers they have. Generally, demands for high prices and early payments are the commonality and conflict according to them. Customers. Customer service, customer security, and privacy. Service quality, financial inclusion, affordability, and services and convenience. They impact the income of the firm. The common conflict about them is asking for superior quality service for cheaper price. Community. Responsible financing, community investment, financial inclusion, conduct, environmental performance. Interest groups, opinion formers also stick with the organization or against the organization. Fighting wishes in relation to their culture and belief are the common conflict. Shareholders, financial performance, governance, transparency, disclosure, business expansion, plan, risk management, sustainable growth, etc. are the expectations they have. Chance to vote and pick the board of directors are the power they possess. The commonality and the conflict they have are the tend to have a higher expectation on the investment, therefore not meeting their expectation would lead to conflict. So government expectations to have the compliance with regulation, directive codes, local overseas expansion, microfinance, semi-development, consolidation of the financial sector. The power and influence of the government are regulations controlling. The commonality and conflict. normally require check and balance with regard to their demands. Competitors. Competitors create fresh approaches to surpass us. The power and influence they possess are trustworthy customer base and significant mark in the market will stand as a threat to fresh entrants. Commonality and conflict of these competitors are conflict of interest when the matching customer of the similar market is being provided to a watch which and competitive performance beneficial for business to flourish, however expensive to cope up and
So now I'm going to talk about the pestle analysis. Speaking of the political factors, the new central bank law, which was introduced in 2013, states that all banking activities should be monitored and controlled by the Central Bank of Myanmar, which includes the monetary policy as well as the exchange rate policy of Myanmar, which means there will be a lot of restrictions, rules and regulations for banking operations. But the government of Myanmar has taken steps to award 9 foreign banks, which means they are trying to encourage all these banks to come to Myanmar and do business activities. Economical conditions of Myanmar is in a stable position. However, their economic growth rate has come down to 5.9, which was previously 7%. But they're still in a stable position, which would work for commercial bank. And also, their inflation rate has subsided in the last year to average percent of 6.8%. The social aspects include the difference in the consumer attitudes. Now the millennials are more into credit cards. They're demanding more credit cards even for the smallest of transactions. And also people tend to turn to banks for more financial assistance. Not only people but even the large companies, they tend to go to banks to get financial direction. Speaking of the technological aspects, now we are at the highest peak of technology. So people are demanding for more mobile banking and automated facilities. And also, in terms of the bank's perspective, they are holding virtual meetings so that they can save their resources and time. Speaking of the environmental aspects, topics like pollution, energy wastage, wastage are being talked about. So this can be an opportunity for commercial bank to come up with unique CSR activities to gain the trust of the Myanmar citizens. And also there's a growing trend for paperless banking activities. Speaking of legal factors, since they are operating in a totally different country, it will be different from the laws which are there in Sri Lanka. So they have to closely look at all the laws, starting from the labor laws, the minimum wages, the age limits, the allowances, the working hours, everything will be different from Sri Lanka. So they have to work accordingly in order to provide outstanding service facilities.
So now I will be discussing about the SWOT analysis. So in terms of strengths, Commercial Bank is an established brand name with a history of over 90 years, and since they have banks in Bangladesh, the brand is well known in Asia. They also opened a representative office in Yangon, Myanmar in 2015, so they have sound knowledge about the citizens and trends in Myanmar. Commercial Bank has also received a lot of awards in the past, both internationally and locally. Examples as being awarded as one of the top 1,000 banks in the world for the seventh consecutive year. So these awards will be a strength to gain the trust of the Myanmar citizens. They also have already trained employees who are keen with modern technology. In terms of weaknesses, commercial bank would incur a lot of R&D costs in order to search about the Myanmar market and the consumers. Commercial bank is also foreign brand name to Myanmar people, so they can be reluctant to choose foreign banks over local banks. A high staff turnover rate can also be seen at commercial bank. In terms of opportunities, the world is moving towards a digital era. So the introduction of virtual intelligence and chatbots would be a great opportunity for commercial bank. Commercial bank is currently providing services in Asian continent. With that experience, they can have opportunity to expand globally. When doing business activities abroad, it gives the opportunity to collaborate with other global companies. And in terms of threats, there are a lot of rules and regulations for banks in Myanmar because everything is being monitored by the Central Bank of Myanmar. Moreover, Myanmar's banking industry keeps developing, so it makes the competition more aggressive. Now I will move on to scenario planning. Scenario planning is basically describing different hypothetical future environments. So according to commercial bank situation, the different scenarios are listed down according to the level of uncertainty and business impact. In the second quadrant, the scenarios which makes a high business impact, which are also the most uncertain, are listed. Speaking of the first scenario which is selected, the demand for automated banking facilities are growing at a fast rate. Since we are at the peak of technology, people demand for more sophisticated facilities to save time and to make their lives easier. So the proposed strategy to overcome this scenario would be to invest more on research and development costs and recruit talented and skillful staff in order to research about innovative services that could be provided in the future. The second scenario depicted are the natural disasters that occur in Myanmar. Myanmar is a country which faces severe floods and earthquakes. These scenarios can be affected to any type of business. Therefore, it is always better to be prepared for such situations by having a natural disaster response plan and trained employees. Banks can also do activities such as loading up their ATMs for such situations in order to help their customers.
Value proposition is key for any big business. Commercial bank has to highlight its key values while moving into a new region, especially a region such as Myanmar, which has its customers very keenly developed in its culture. Hence, commercial bank tries to highlight its values while moving into the region. One of the values it highlights is its people-friendly banking system and also the fact that they cater to big businesses. Another key element is its multilingual POS systems. Incorporating the Burmese language into its multilingual POS systems shows its gratitude towards the customers of Myanmar. Another key element is the technological advancements that commercial bank portrays as its foremost priority, in the sense that paperless banking is one of the main achievements that they wish to promote as one of their values that they add to the country of Myanmar.
In order to evaluate the banking sector of Myanmar, we have taken up the Porter's five forces structure. The first one, the threat of new entrants. The financial sector of Myanmar is being led by the banking industry and it is in the growth stages of its industry life cycle. As the government has seen this and decided to increase the paid up capital for a bank, which makes it sure that it is well maintained, and because of this, the regulations are tightened up, the threat of new entrants would be low. Bargaining power of buyers. In any market, the presence of small number of large volume buyers in the market would have a huge impact. In the banking industry, as a percentage of individual customers are high, the impact that a customer could do is very low, which means that this is the bargaining power of buyers would be low. Bargaining power of suppliers. As a third element, the bargaining power of suppliers depends on the number of workforce of the Myanmar banking industry. The number of banks are 24 in Myanmar, which means that the most basic thing that every bank could be outsourcing is the IT service that they need in the day-to-day life. Since the bank numbers are very less and there would be a high competition in the supply sector, this would make sure that the bargaining power supplies would be low. The threat of substitutes. Determining the number of banks in the Myanmar market would eventually help the substitutions, even though the banks and the other financial bodies are currently providing services in the city limits. When it comes to rural areas, it is very low, which means looking in general, the threat of subsidies would be also low. As a last, the rivalry among existing firms. Since the number of banks are very low and the financial sector is highly and rapidly developing during this time of era, the competition is really high, which makes for a bank really hard to come in and settle in the Myanmar banking industry.
Now, let's have a look into the industrial life cycle. The industry life cycle refers to the stages of that particular industry will go through from the day of its birth until it declines. The first stage is the introduction stage. As the introductory stage for the industry would be new, it would take a considerable amount of time for a business to adapt and get into the industry. As a competitive advantage for commercial bank would be able to survive since the threat of substitutes would be very low. The second, the growth stage. During this stage of the industry life cycle, the commercial bank would be picking up sales, while there would be other banks and financial bodies rushing into the industry. This is mainly due to the fact that businesses would be encouraged once they see and open up a opportunity in the market. The last, the decline stage. During this stage of industry, it would be the peak of sales where the demand would be less and the supply would be immensely high. Key successful factors. These factors would ensure and give an idea to the management of commercial bank as to what are the strengths and weaknesses factors of the banks in the Myanmar industry. The factors that have been considered are market share, sustainability, and brand image. Looking into the market share, the Myanmar Investment and Commercial Bank has the highest market share in the Myanmar banking industry. Looking into the sustainability, the commercial bank has a highest sustainability out of all the banks in Myanmar banking industry. Lastly, the brand image. The commercial bank, Myanmar Economic Bank, Inba Bank and Kansbawa Bank and the Myanmar Investment and Commercial Bank has a equal brand image throughout the banking.
Now I will talk about the strategic direction of Commercial Bank. So after entering Myanmar, Commercial Bank intends to introduce their exceptional banking services with the hope of generating more customers. Speaking of the generic strategy, since the banking industry of Myanmar is getting perfectly competitive, the best strategy would be to adopt a differentiation strategy to gain competitive advantage. Since Myanmar doesn't have the latest technological advancements, commercial bank would introduce automated banking facilities that use chatbots and virtual intelligence. To implement the chosen strategy, the organization needs to select a correct location, create brand awareness, keep a good reputation, and the organization requirements would be to have talented staff members, energetic teams with customer service skills, and responsible senior management. Strategy implementation has four types of methods. They are market penetration, market development, product development, and diversification. Market penetration. Since Yangon is the commercial center of Myanmar, commercial bank can introduce their automated services by analyzing the market. Since this is the only bank with such innovative services, commercial bank gets to capture a sizable market share of the market and establish their brand name. Product development is mainly used to create new products or services to an existing market. To do so, commercial banks should analyze the customer needs, wants, and trends and develop new types of services to satisfy them in the future. Under market development, what commercial banks should do is they should try to spread their banking network in other parts of Myanmar. Diversification is when company introduce a new product to a completely different market. However, this method would not be followed in commercial banks' current business and operations.
Market analysis. As of now, Commercial Bank is having an operational office in Myanmar, and in order to expand their presence in the Myanmar market, they need to have an idea as to what customer segments and strategies should be used. Looking into the market segmentations, as we are located in the main city of Myanmar, the crowd which we would have to provide banking needs would be the high middle income people and the upper income customers. The market segmentation would be done mainly based on two aspects, which is demographic and geographical segmentation. Let's have a look into the demographic segmentation. This would be done into main three elements. Age. People who are above the age of 28 years would be mainly targeted. Income and occupation. Basically, the occupation of the customers we expect to deal are businessmen who have businesses with other countries. Occupation type would be the overseas business. The geographical segmentation. Since commercial bank is functioning successfully in many countries all around the world, according to the demographic segmentation, these customers would be located in the main city limits of Myanmar, where international business is happening. The Yangon city would be mainly focused. Business risk assessment. The risk that has to be mitigated when opening up a financial institution in another country would be really high. The risk that the commercial bank has to look into are credit risk. The credit risk would occur when an obligor or the customer is not willing to pay back the borrowed money or if the customer fails to pay it back. Secondly, the market risk. These are the day-to-day risks that could be occurring due to the changes in elements such as the fluctuation in interest rates, foreign currencies, and commodity prices. Thirdly, operational risk. This should mainly occur because of the failed internal processes, people, and systems. Also, these type of risk could be popping up due to frauds happening in the external environment. The liquidity risk. Since the commercial bank is a financial institute, there is always a probability where something regarding liquidation could take place. The risk would be occurring when the bank fails to pay back the depositors. Lastly, the strategic risk. Strategic management should be highly given priority as it should be smoothly handled and managed. These risks would be hard to identify prior as the other risk.
This shows the forecasted income statements for the years 2018 and 2019, which shows a forecasted profitability of 16 million and 18 million approximately for the respective years. Looking into the 2019 and 2020 years, the income or the profit that has been forecasted are 18 million for 2019 and 30 million for 2020. In order to have an idea as to what would be the financial position by the end of the 2019 year, we have done the forecast statement or the balance sheet. According to this, by the year of 2019, there would be a profit of 444 million rupees.
Conclusively, we can say that by implementing this business plan as per our objectives, we will be able to become a well-established bank in the Myanmar market by the year 2025. Moreover, we hope to provide a good service to the Myanmar market and develop their financial sector. Thank you.